Hey everybody, welcome back to the Omega Games podcast. I'm John, your host, and I'm excited to be with you today. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, share our videos, and also share our podcasts on LinkedIn or other channels, Discord, etc. We love to hear from you and hear feedback from our fans as well. I am so excited to be with a good friend of mine today, Sam Hebda. He is a marketing community manager and expert in this field who started an agency in 2021 with the idea that he wanted to help build communities online. And subsequently, he's helped thousands of people connect authentically with their audiences. He values human connection and interaction over transactions and loves to be open about his own journey and his path to success. Sam, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me, John. You snuck that last part in about the success, but I wouldn't say I've made it, but I'm on the journey and I'm happy to share anything I can with people. Anyone who's willing to listen, honestly. If you've met me before, I may have just talked your ear off, but we'll try to keep it concise and add value where we can.
Well, Sam, I think this is the whole real value of like we said, building communities is having those transparent conversations.
Yeah.
So I'm always excited when we have a chance to chat. I wonder if you could
Likewise.
share an interesting, fact about why you wanted to get involved in this space or something about the community space online that maybe our audience isn't really aware of in terms of how the conversation is shifting online.
Yeah. Well, I mean, things are changing pretty rapidly as a lot of people figured out in COVID. When things went digital and work had to be done remotely, we entered an era where digital communication became the norm. Before that, some people used Skype, some people used other video or Skype, and then we used some random third party softwares that would connect us over voice. But video was really the key we were missing out on before that. And then when the pandemic hit and everyone had to be remote, they started to lose that element of just the serendipity of running into people in the office. The break room where you bump into your coworker and you share a little bit about your life. Those kind of interactions are key to a team operating efficiently in any scenario, whether it's a content creation team or a financial team working on some documents. They need to be connected in a more personal way. If you remove that personal connection, it just goes downhill very quickly. And a lot of people found that. So I think right now, just sharing one key piece of advice is don't try to limit your communication to text. You need to be talking to people and having voice and video chats like this, at the very least, if you can't meet up with them in person. Obviously, I love meeting people in person. John and I have hung out quite a few times. It's always better. And it's the same thing with video chat. It's always the next level over text. So if you're struggling with your team or something, I would say take a look at the Web3 space and figure out where you guys can connect more authentically with each other.
I
That's what it's all
really
about.
love that because I think even as business has shifted into the digital, something that I've been really putting my mind to over the last year or so is how do we bridge the physical and the digital space, right? Just to, like you said, be over email, or in that text-based digital arena doesn't allow you to have that emotion or have that face-to-face interaction. Now, certainly with the rise of Zoom or like Discord, Meet, or other channels that people are using, that's great. I think the real key is building those communities online because you can take that away from having those great interactions, but what are you left with, right? But lasting memories or interactions or working on projects together or gaming together. Why did you want to work into, and how do you see this community management and building as an integral part of how businesses are going to interact with their customers, their clients, and actually their teams in the Web3 space? How do you see that developing over the next, 3 to 5 years?
That's a great question. I think I'd have to go back to what got me all started in this to answer that fully. So I'll take it back to 2019 when I really entered the business world as a solopreneur, so to speak. I was doing freelance work at the time for a design firm, and I had been running my own Twitch for a few years. I had a little following, couple hundred people who would kind of follow me from Discord to Discord, and I was interested in how I could take that to the business world, help these people who are streaming make money off their streams and create the content that they want to create. I didn't like being a slave to my audience, and I wanted
Hmm.
to connect with people and it not be transactional. It'd be like a relationship that you build over time. So about that time, I started doing design work. I started doing client relationship development. Actually, that was the main thing I did for this
Mm-hmm.
firm. As I
Right.
learned the design process, I worked with their clients and the teams, the design teams and the developers, and I was the in between man. And what I realized, since we couldn't meet with them in person when the pandemic hit, we had to have a substitute way to connect with people. And our efforts to do Zoom calls and make them into, in-person meetups in a digital world just didn't work because there was too temporary. You would have the Zoom call, you'd all connect, and then if you didn't get someone's LinkedIn, that was really it. Like, you really had to network hard to get the same value you would have just going to a physical event. So what I did was I proposed we take the elements of streaming, which had brought Discord into being. That was the streaming gaming world of, hey, hop in and play with me while I game and see me. They added video at the same time, so they became a direct competitor to Zoom as soon as Zoom launched and
Right.
the
Yeah.
pandemic hit. So I switched over to from Zoom to Discord, and I was like, this is a free way to do video calls. And it was a little glitchy. It wasn't all focused on video, so it was a little bit harder for people to figure out. But it became a physical place, a Discord server. If you don't know what a Discord is, Discord has its separate servers that are essentially like a downtown building. Like, you get a physical space to build up your business. You have a lobby, you have a welcome room, and then you have rooms where you can go chat and hang out, kind of like a conference room with your table set out. And you all get to talk, turn on your video, and interact. And you can either leave and enter the room at your own free will. So that became the norm for our meetings. Instead of doing Zoom calls, we would do these live events and hang out with each other. And they would go past the hour. They would end up spanning into the night. We would have some laughs, have some great relationships developed in those. And it was a massive success, but it was built around one company, and it was their marketing effort. It was their marketing funnel. Essentially it became a way for them to get business. And they were able to make thousands off of this one Discord just because the people coming in saw them positioned as a thought leader in the area of design. And anything we did would come back at some point, circle around to, we can help you design a better business. We can
Right.
help you make better money, more money through effective, intentional design. And it's the same way with community. If you're marketing your business, anything you're marketing, you want to be connecting with your target audience. And if you're doing that through like Facebook marketing, you're trying to achieve the same thing, which is finding an interest group and putting that in there as a key value proposition. That's the copywriting art. What's your call to action? How are you getting people to click on that? Well, they have to already want that kind of value. So if you build a community around the values and not around the product, you end up with a group of people who are interested in whatever you have to say because you already have that position of authority. And that's what I've been building for dozens of other businesses since then, as I took that model and built it in a scalable way so that you could have people running your community for you. And you don't have to do the posting and scheduling that everybody hates. You just keep up with the Discord and you have people in there creating content. User generated content is king in this world. And if you can generate that, if you can generate your brand loyal audience and your 1,000 true fans, you're set. Like, that is a perfect marketing orbital there that then creates its own content for TikTok, Facebook, whatever. You don't have to go figure out, what the heck am I going to put on TikTok or Facebook? You already got that because your community is helping you generate it, helping you figure out what to post.
Well,
So,
that's such
long
a
story.
yeah. That's such a great like point though for us to dive into for the audience, because I love what you said about user generated content, and I think
Mhm.
brands today are searching for ways to drive that content generation. And what we're noticing, especially
Mhm.
across the board with some clients that we work with, is that it's becoming harder and harder for authentic value-based content to find the right audience online. A lot of the
Mhm.
algorithms on Facebook or Instagram are pushing towards just sponsored posts across the board from, numerous companies that are willing to just spend, thousands and thousands of dollars on ads. But how do you really generate a vibrant community aspect with the individuals that want to follow your brand, let's say on an alternative
Yeah.
channel like Discord or Reddit or Twitch, etc.? And I think that's where I've seen you really drive and build some great interactions. And maybe you could tell the audience a little bit about that. of why it's important to really invest in that community space. And kind of how you do that is really the finding the individuals that want to be those banner bearers or milestone folks inside these communities. So maybe you could talk a little bit more about how you inspire the audiences that brands are trying to reach to engage and create that brand loyalty.
Hmm. But another really great question, and John, honestly, what we found is time in, time again, businesses that invest in paid advertising marketing eventually get hit with the same problem. That the more advertising that goes on in that area, the less effective each ad is, and they get struck with updates. The recent Apple iOS update, I don't know if anyone's heard, but it's almost putting Facebook under. If you look at all the data that they're picking through, like Facebook itself is seriously affected by one update that Apple did. Another company I know basically got completely, they wrecked their reach. They could no longer reach their audience. So if you're paying for your audience, you're going to run into the same issue. We see it over and over again. And the workaround here that we have found very effective for a number of different industries is to not do top of mind marketing, but rather value first marketing, giving people something to attach to on a deeper emotional level. So you're not talking about, hey, my Swifter does this, but rather you're talking about running a clean, organized house. So simple, but it's such a
Sure.
big difference when it comes down to it. And that is why Discord communities are a great marketing platform, why Discord is so successful, because the first people to use it were streamers, and they would do stuff like collaborative streams around mental health. They would do a big collab stream and raise thousands and thousands for charities. Well, that's no small amount. A lot of people are interested in helping and jumping on when there's that much hype going around. So it's the same deal with your business. If you can tap into some deeper emotional need that people have when they want your product, and instead of just paying for that advertisement, that one call to action, you build a whole ecosystem of people interested in that. Boom, they are your marketing team. They are the ones promoting you. And Discord's click to invite was the revolutionary aspect that changed how we do marketing, because suddenly you can invite someone to join something permanent instead of just, Facebook groups were like the first iteration. They were kind of a web 2 iteration of this.
Right.
Now Discord, it's like you have live video. You can hop in and have a video call with the CEO of a business. Like that's almost never heard of before. You would have to get past all the security guards, all, get into the building, schedule a meeting. Like in Triba, you can just bump into CEOs and founders, which is something that people love. But no matter what your positioning is, if you find out what your people want within that niche, you can hone in and develop a whole ecosystem of smaller influencers. And the idea of macro influencers, I think, is kind of like 2000 teens, right? It was like, get somebody like Jay-Z to sponsor it, or Snoop Dogg, get Snoop Dogg in there. Sure, but like those big influencers kind of tap out their audience after a while. They know, all right, this person is on all these sponsorships. They just want me to buy it. I'm giving them money. Sure.
Yeah.
But then you have a bunch of smaller influencers with a couple thousand people on Instagram. We saw this happen with all the micro influencers, and they would build out an affiliate program. And sure, that's like multi-level marketing, and it kind of, but they have all these people making money off of a product or brand that fills a value point. Like, this is health and wellness. This is,
Mm-hmm.
beauty. This
Right.
is,
Right.
believing in yourself. So you'd have all these hashtags and groups built around that. So Discord just takes it to the next level. And what we do is we build a whole Discord community of thousands who all are about, beauty and health and wellness, or whatever, genre you want to call it. But essentially, you would be able to host live events and get other micro influencers in there. They help you create the content and stream stuff. They go live, so you're not the only person with the pressure to go live. I mean, if you're doing any social media marketing, you probably know what works really well is opening up like this, being on camera, sharing your story, being, a little bit vulnerable, a little bit authentic with people in a maybe
Yeah,
a
of
sensitive
course.
way. You see this on LinkedIn a lot, like people's stories that they're like, I struggled with this in college and I had to go overcome this and this, and like people are like, yeah, you go, that's awesome. Well, that kind of stuff is hard to do. Like, you can't do that on your own for forever. And what people do is they try to do that, and then they get burned out, and then they come back
Right.
around, and then
Right.
they handle some like crisis, or they have somebody trauma dumping or venting on their posts, and it's a struggle. But you do it within a community, people jump on board and they're like, I had a similar experience, let me share. Suddenly you have
Sure.
100 people talking about the same thing you were, and that thread leads back to, oh, this person is basically presenting this value proposition for you to check out. And it's much more likely that someone's going to click on something after a voice and video call than they are from a text message. It's just, it's facts.
I really love that, and I think this is a great opportunity. And one thing I've noticed in terms of defining the Web3 space, or this Web 2.5 to Web3 transformation that we're encountering, is this is a good definition. Web3 is about authentic community creation and a more direct interaction between the real individuals behind or a part of a brand with their customers and with the individuals that are part of their group or community. And I think
Yeah.
this is a huge step forward for how brands can be authentic online. Like you said, instead of hiring a big name celebrity, people are kind of getting the idea now that, oh, that person's probably just paid to
Yeah.
push this product or push this idea. And yeah, I guess if it's important to me, that's fine. It's a good amount of social proof, but is it really? But if you get 1,000 folks who are like-minded, just like you, in the same space and time, saying, hey, no, I really was engaged with this individual or this brand or this artist, and they do an amazing job, and I would hire them again, or I work with them every week on X, Y, and Z. That's a huge amount of social proof that we didn't have before. And so
Yeah.
as the world gets bigger in terms of digital connection, I'm noticing that the need or the desire for more minute and direct social interaction from a peer-to-peer perspective is really what the Web3 space is all about. And I think each iteration of this, whether it's, I think Discord has gotten big and Reddit's gotten big, where, you get a
Yeah.
lot of the news around, oh, well, that's where there's a lot of crypto folks or gamers, or, these kind of toned down industries, into one specific genre. We've noticed in the Triba community that there's all types of business owners who engage in that business community that you've built and taken time to nurture and grow into most likely the number one business community on Discord as a platform. Think about how huge that is, right? And great job for doing that. And that just goes to show that it's not platform specific. The interaction you need to have to build and develop community, you can do it on anyone, and anyone can be a part of these
Yeah.
communities, and everyone has value to share. And I
Yeah.
think that that's a real important thing about the Web3 space that we're moving into, is to kind of define down what really is your value. What are you bringing to the table? Are you just selling something? Are you just pushing and moving a product? Is that what's important to you? Or are you really interested in building a community around business values and mentorship and
Hmm.
serving your clients and customers, as all business owners should? I
They
think
should.
that these kinds of new ways that we're interacting with each other force that interaction more quickly than it may have had in the past, and putting customer and client first. So maybe tell us a little bit about Triba, Sam, because I'd love for the audience to understand and learn more about how they can interact with the business community online on something like a Discord.
Yeah. I mean, I think anybody can and should be involved in Discord in some way or another. I'd like for it to get a little easier to onboard people, but it's one of those tools that's so intricate and does so many different things that it has to be at least certain level of complexity. Um, but yeah, to answer your question, I'd have to go back to the idea of what it means to be a business or entrepreneur. So there's two kind of ways of looking at it. There's a business mindset and there's a grind mindset. And if you're in the grind mindset, your goal is to just make as much money no matter who you have to step over or what you have to do to get to that level, because you want to make that amount of money. You want to make that level of money. I've had people come in at Triba. We've had thousands of people come into Triba who are interested in just making money. We're interested in making money, but in a different way. A
Right.
business mindset, at least in the Triba ecosystem, the Triba Viba, it is all about wanting to make money to accomplish the vision of that company, that vision. And those are both fundamentally based on the founder or the founding group, their principles, their vision. So whenever we start working with a new client, a new relationship is developed, it's built around the ideas that we both see this the same way. We're both viewing marketing in the same way. It's not transactions. We want to have a relationship with our customer. We want to build that, nurture it, and have them market for us because they just love us so much. And I've been able to do that with so many different people because we start by, what is your vision? What is your mission? What are your core value points? What are your coordinates? Like, what are you shooting for? What is the
Mm-hmm.
plot you're trying to
Right.
make happen? Then we figure out, what are you promising to deliver to your customer? What are you promising, and what do you sound like when you're doing that? And if you take all that and you put it together, it's kind of like a nice little sandwich. You put it all together, you put it into a community where you're basically promoting those values and that mission, and people love it. They're like, all right, let's help you do that. How can I help? And you end up with
That's
something like Triba, where we have 25 plus volunteers helping
yeah.
run this business community of thousands of people. And you curate it. You want quality over quantity. It's not like advertising where you want to just see thousands of hits. I don't want thousands of hits. I want the right customers. I want the right
Yeah.
people in there
Yeah.
to engage and participate. So it's really more about finding the right community, even if you're just a solopreneur. So like, if you're not, say, a business owner, you're like, well, do I join something like Tribo where it's a business community? I'm just a student looking to learn. Well, yeah, we have hundreds of students looking to learn from these
Absolutely.
founders and these businesses who are sharing their experience. And you can see,
Absolutely.
what does it look like to do business well and have a long vision, as opposed to, I hate to say it, but some of these guys, even like Gary Vee, are just about grind till you make it. Like, just pump content till you get
Mm-hmm.
those thousands and thousands of views, and then figure out a way to monetize that audience.
Yeah.
We love to talk about your network value, but it's more in the essence of, hey, how can we cross pollinate? How can we share
Mm-hmm.
with each other? Let me follow you on LinkedIn and see if there's any contacts that would relate to you, that share your values. And if you think about it, that's what we've been trying to do all along. That's what most of you, like John is a power networker in real life. He's just out there all the time, much more than me. I'm online a lot of times, but he does this already. I'm just taking it onto Discord and being like, you can do this on Discord. It's like Zoom, but better.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, if you're any kind of business mind, it's worth it to check out. It's not a gaming platform. It is a framework for you to build out your profile, to put out your values, to connect with other sub communities that value the same thing, and market organically through there by just sharing, being real, opening up. Maybe you got something free to offer. Ever think of
Mm-hmm.
those like click funnels people like to do,
Oh yeah.
where you're
Yeah.
like, oh, free ebook. Oh yeah, that's really popular. That worked really well in a Web 2 world. In a Web 3 space, not so much. Like, what are you
Right.
going to click a
Right.
VR link? But if you join a VR community, it's
Mm-hmm.
akin to joining a Discord, and you're there physically, and you're much more likely to check out the product and go check out and buy the product. Like, we've increased a lot of profit from businesses by switching away from paid advertising and towards community generated and value first content.
Well, Sam, that's fascinating, and I really appreciate you hopping on board with us today. And as we kind of get to the end of our episode, I wonder if you could leave the audience with a few key takeaways. Obviously, if you're interested in joining the Tribe of Discord and the Tribe of Business community, there'll be links in the comment section below. I encourage you to do that. Reach out to me and Sam. Our information will be there as well. Subscribe to
Yeah.
our channel, of course, and get in touch with us. But Sam, could you leave us with a couple of key takeaways from our conversation today?
Mm-hmm. Wow, that there's so many things that I would love to share with our listeners, just based on what we've talked about. So, like John said, go to discord.gg/triba, and you can connect with me directly there. My DMs are always open. I leave you with this one takeaway: that someone told me something very powerful about a year and a half ago, and it transformed the way I've done business. They said, open up your schedule to anyone to talk to you, even if it's not somebody you think is a high value relationship. So I have a Calendly, and I send it to a lot of people who want to talk, and it's super easy to get a meeting with me. And in turn, I've had thousands of calls over the last year and a half, several a day sometimes, where I'm just talking to people about, how can I help you?
Yeah.
What do you need? Like, where do you fit in the ecosystem of Triba? Who can I connect you with? If you do that one thing, you'll find that people will reciprocate in incredible ways. They'll see you as a value connector, but also as somebody who they might want to work with. Like, how do we connect you with someone else? And then you ask them, after you've given some value, ask them, hey, do you know anyone who has this specific need or would like to be part of a community of this sort of vision and values? There you go. That is a perfect lead in. That works really well. And that is applied at scale in Triba. So if you go in
Sure.
there, you'll see it applied at scale. And the seed method is the process that I've developed. I teach it. There's a marketing club in Triba. You want to learn more, join that as well. So I'd say that's the takeaway. Be open and authentic with people, and people will reciprocate in incredible ways.
Well, Sam, I really appreciate you sharing that with the audience today. And I think the only thing I would add, which is really not an addition, is just my way of looking at it, is I've had the famous, I don't know the exact origin, but it says it's an African proverb online that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think that again is the key in the Web3 space, is about building communities. And as communities become smaller, yet more integrated and stronger together, I think that that's where the real value comes in for brands and businesses, is maybe really defining down who is that target audience? Who is that high value individual that you want to engage with? And I love what you said there about, making time on your calendar to have a conversation. And you never know what someone's going to do in the future. And remember how you talk with them and inspired them. I like you. I feel the same way. Always have time for a conversation. Always be using your time and utilizing your time to invest in others with inspiration, or driving great valued content together. So that's kind of what we were doing here today. And I just want to thank you for being on board.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I think that's the founding principles of Triba, was just opening up to talk to people, and it worked really well. It works for a lot of people on Discord. So just open up and
Awesome.
let people talk to you.
Awesome. And thank you, the audience, for tuning in with us
Yeah.
today. Remember to subscribe to our videos and our channel as well. And again, if you do want to get in touch with Samurai, you can check on Discord, LinkedIn, etc. The Triba link is discord.gg/Triba. I'm in there as well. All those will be in the comment section below. And I look forward to you listening and having great conversations with your team and your clients and your customers. So thanks so much for tuning in, and check back with us next time.
See you there.